This is awesome. Let's get one of these going, man. Hell yeah.
Daniel Mesrobian from Hoboken, New Jersey. I want to be able to understand what you see in agents, what you see as their challenges, and what you see are some of the tools and the skills that they need in order to navigate the market.
Immensely challenging time right now. Transactions right now are down 6.5 to 3.9. So when you have that shrink, that decrease in transactions, what becomes more valuable is your conversion rates, because the leads that you do get, they're eminently more valuable now because there's so few of them. So you have to be able to convert them. And what I'm finding agents' challenges are is when they get those leads, their conversion rates might not be where they want them to be. It's directly related to a skill level in converting the lead.
Over the last few years, agents may have become more dependent on how they receive leads.
That's another great point. So what we know to be true is if you only have one or two lead sources, it's like a bottleneck in your business. I like to have 5 to 6 at one time. Expireds for sub-by owners, circle of influence, past clients, probates, and then third-party referrals. And then there's other methods you could use too. If one is light, you can turn to another. If another's light, you can go to another.
Yes.
But what I'm noticing is when COVID was, in 2020, 2021, because the market was so active and so it was with such fever, I'm noticing that agents kind of sat a little bit on their laurels and just thought the market was going to continue to just feed them in that manner. And we know that that's not going to happen. So what's going to happen with these lead sources is instead of a third-party referral service distributing one lead to everybody, which I take part in, by the way, now it only goes 1-to-1. Let's say they send it to me. I'm the only one that's getting that lead if somebody's searching to sell their home. Well, what's going to happen to that lead now? It's going to become eminently more expensive because it's only 1-to-1. What it is right now, which is standard 30-35%, that's out the window.
Is there a tool, let's start there, that you see that makes a difference in agents' lives if they are going to capture that lead, make sure they do their lead follow-up, and keep track of making sure they nurture that lead?
Yes, these companies are going to require you. They're going to be all over you from the minute you get that lead until the second that lead either gets converted or doesn't. And the conversion rate that you have with getting one lead, if these companies notice you're not converting them, you're not going to get them. This ties into the second part of that question, which is skill building. I run a role play group every morning, 7:30 to 8 o'clock, where we give you scripts to note so you know what to say, how to say it, but most importantly, how to say it with confidence. So when you're on the phone with these leads, these sellers that are looking to sell their home, you know what questions to ask, pointed, direct questions to ask them to find out if they're ready, willing, and able to sign a listing agreement. All parties are there at the listing when you present. Their motivation, equity in the home, because if there's no equity, there really isn't going to be a sale. So you're going to know exactly what to say to them and what questions to ask them. So number one, we know if we can work with them. But number two, and more importantly, we're able to serve them at the highest level possible because we're not just here to sell a property. This is here for relationship building.
Yeah, nice.
This is probably the seller's biggest asset that they own. So who they work with, how they trust you, if they trust you, is probably the most important thing for me as an agent.
So I love that you're describing, Daniel, what has traditionally been called the pre-qualification process.
Yes.
But it's also this element of discovery. One of the aspects of being an agent that is really challenged as the market is shifting is time. Where you spend your time, how you invest your time is becoming so critical, so pivotal. As you have the questions to ask, as you have the confidence to ask the questions, you're discovering the story of what's going on with this client. You're discovering how your knowledge, how your connections, how your resources are a solution for this person, how you can be a guide to be able to help this client, this potential prospect, really be able to solve the problem that is in front of them in a way that works well for everyone.
Yes.
Right. So these questions are not just for, do you want to work with this client, which is part of the equation?
Yes.
But also it is part of the equation of what are the right solution.
That is the most important thing you can find with any real estate transaction. That's the most important thing. It isn't getting the property sold. It's why the seller needs to sell. So when you dig to these with these pointed questions that we train you,
right?
We train you on this to understand what is in a seller's mind as to what their problem is, why they need to sell. So if you ask a seller when you're on the phone with them and it's, hey, was there a particular reason you were looking to sell the property in the first place? Mm-hmm. Yes, I need to move to Florida. That is not the motivation. Dig a little deeper. Tell me about that. What's important about moving to Florida? Well, my in-laws are there. Yeah. Okay, not it yet. Dig a little deeper. Well, what's important about being down there for your in-laws? Well, they're aging and we think that we're going to need to put my mother-in-law into assisted living. That's the motivation. That's why they're going. For me personally, I keep asking, tell me about that. What is important about that? How is that going to change your life and the life of your family to actually be able to be down in Florida? Is there anything else that's important about the move? Is there anything else important about the move? Until they say no, I will continue to ask more questions to dig. Because the more you have, the better you can serve them, you can help them. And this is how you relationship build. All of these questions that we ask them, it's in service of them. Most of the agents that are out there are going to be calling these clients and telling them, I can sell your property. I'm doing this. This is what I can do. Are you familiar with the techniques I use to sell property? Like, it's insane. And when you're talking to an expired who's been on the market 6 months, this is rancid shit that they're hearing. Because their property was literally listed for 6 months and it didn't sell. And now you're calling them on day 181 and telling them that you can sell it. It's crazy to me. Why don't you just find out and ask what's important to them about the move? Why are you trying to get from point A to point B? That's the motivation. That's the reason. It's not about me. Selling the property isn't about me.
Right.
It is all about them. In my close, when I close them, one of the things that I say is, listen, whether it's now or later, at least you've met with the top agent in your area. You'll have all the information you need so you can make the best decision you can for yourself and your family. Does that sound fair to you? That, my friends, is 8 U's. There are no I's in that at all. 8 U's. It is not about me. It's about them. So that's just a real quick tidbit about how we teach you. I'll train you in the role play group that I run on what to say, how to say it, and how to say it like that with confidence.
You and I also learned over the last couple of days together
Yes.
that there are lots of different ways in which agents can help different sellers depending on their situation.
Correct.
So listing the property is one avenue. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share any of your insights about some of the variety of ways that
Yes.
agents might be able to help clients?
Yes. So there are multiple ways that you can help them. The first thing that I like to figure out is, number one, can I buy it? Property. Okay. Can I buy it? Okay. Then the second thing is if I can't, will the seller finance it for me? Third way is if the seller can't finance it, can I wholesale it? Take an assignment fee, have a buyer lined up, list it, and then sell it to the buyer. But do a wholesale, not on the open market, but just wholesale it. And then the fourth is if I have to list it, do I have a buyer for it so I can do both sides of the deal? So serve the buyer and the seller for that one property. The fifth way is if you can't do any of those four, you just list it and help the seller that way. But every way of those 5, I'm helping the seller at that point. All the leverage is on the listing side. So do most agents start to work with buyers when they come out of the gate? Yes. Why? Is because it's the easiest thing for you to do. You're opening doors and showing buyers property. There's not a lot of skill in that. Skills are being able to know what to say, how to say it to a seller, so you enlist their property. Mm-hmm. Now what happens? All the buyers come to you. So all the leverage is on the listing side. That is why very early on when I started working with Aaron, and Aaron and I were working one-on-one, he said, what do you want? I was flipping property at the time. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, that's not sustainable. We just know that to be true, which is true. It's come and go. He said, do you want to be a listing agent? Do you want to work with buyers? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, this is a listing side. This is the buyer side. All the leverage is here. You're going to need to really skill up to understand how to do this. And I was like, I love a challenge. So I said, I want to do that.
Yes.
And for probably 3 years, I was writing out the listing presentation. I was writing out pre-qual. I role played twice a week for 5 days a week. And then I came in contact with a very good friend who's in Florida, power agent, Chris Camacho. What's up, Chris? Talking to you, brother. Chris and I started role playing objections 7:10 to 7:30 for like 2 years. So now I'm role playing 3 times a day, 7:10, 7:30, 11:30, because 11:30 is the listing presentation role play, 5 days a week, and I'm writing it out every day for like 90 days. So now the listing presentation is literally like ingrained in my. If somebody walked by and was like, "Hey, I want to list my property," I can be like, "Oh, just want to begin our time together today by saying thank you for providing me the opportunity to share some information with you, help with the sale of your home." Does that sound good? Yeah, great. Oh, I can do that off the top of my head. It's here. Yeah. All it takes is practice. Why do you think Kobe Bryant has failed so many times? Because he takes all of the shots, but he practices when everybody else is not. That's all I did. I watched what Aaron did. He said, stop doing this, do this, and this will happen. And he was 100% right. I started practicing. I wrote it out. I role played all those days. Now I can just sit and do that presentation off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I can go up against all the top power agents, and sometimes I win, sometimes I don't. I'm not going to win every one. Nobody bats 1,000. But at least I'm in competition with them. And I'm not intimidated by them either. And you won't, and everybody that's listening to this, you won't be either.
The market will keep evolving, right?
Yes.
So I came into the market in 2002 and the market was hot. Very similar to COVID, except I don't think interest rates were quite as low.
Yeah, right.
Right. So we had hot market, low interest rates. Everybody wanted to move.
Yes.
And so then, 2008, 2012, the downturn of the market. And so then the REO, the foreclosure.
Yes.
Now then we had COVID, right? Then it was hot again.
Yes.
But now we're not really sure what's going to happen in the market.
I want everybody that's listening to understand this. Guys, rates are not going anywhere, at least for the next year. I want everyone to just like conceptualize this. Almost 1/5 of the money that is printed, that is in my wallet and in your wallet, almost 1/5 of that, okay, almost 20% has been printed in the last 3 to 4 years. Okay, that is an enormous amount of money right now in circulation.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yes. So why am I sharing that with you? There is no way interest rates are going to come down points, 1 point, 2 point. It's impossible because there's too much money in circulation for that to happen. And the second reason is inflation's still high. I do not care what your leaders are telling you about inflation. It is false. They don't include housing. They don't include transportation when they make those numbers. My personal belief is they don't, is because what that does is it keeps the cost of living increases for people that are on pensions. It keeps those numbers low. So when they have to increase a pension number or like a cost of living number for someone on Social Security, they can keep that cost of living increase low because they're not including a factor of the economy that's skyrocketing, which is transportation, housing, and transportation.
Yeah. So
they keep that down for that reason. The second thing I wanted to share with you is, guys, I think the prime rate right now is like 7.5. That's what you get. Those are the rates that like you'll get on home equity lines of credit, credit cards, student loans, car notes, things of that nature. What you would want to follow if you're looking to see, all right, where are interest rates going, is the 30-year note. Okay, if you just look at the 30-year note and the 10-year note, okay, the 10-year Treasury note. Wherever you see those indexes going, that's where your interest rates are going. So right now they're high. And your rates right now, I think you can get a 30-year, 20% down, FICO over 750 or 730, I think it is now with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac guidelines, and decent assets, you're going to get like 6.5. That is your average interest rate over the last 100 years of the United States real estate market. But people, because we've gotten conditioned in the last 3 years, between COVID started to when it ended,
right,
you had rates 2.5%, 3.5%. You will not see those rates in your lifetime again. It's impossible. and I'm a Gen Xer, so by the time I'm not here, you're not going to see rates there. They may come down in, let's say, 3 to 5 years to 5, maybe, but the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s are gone. But the issue is people still think that they're going to come down there, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait. 6 out of 10 people that have a mortgage right now have a rate that's 2 to 3 points lower than prevailing rate, which is 6.5.
Yeah.
That's a monster number. So the incentive for somebody to sell isn't there where it was before. So that's where skills come in. We just talked about it.
Yes.
When you have to find sellers that they have what we call life events. Maybe they're getting divorced. Maybe they had a passing in the family. They're having a baby and they only have a 1-bed and this family's expanding. That is a life event. They have to buy. Yeah, they're getting married. Maybe they're getting a job relocation.
Right.
These are all things that, as listing agents, when we go out into the market, these are the questions. You have to know how to ask these questions to find those motivated sellers. And that's what we train you here at the EBs, man. This is what we do. We train you to understand and know what to say and how to say it to these people to find out if they're a motivated seller. Because somebody who I find and I call and they say, well, I just want to see what I can get for my property. Come over and list it. I want this, when in reality it's here, but they just want to test it and see if they can get that. That is a hard no for me.
The amount of time that it takes to then list the property, launch the property, manage that listing, have it not sell, have to give feedback, then have to do a price reduction because then now they're unhappy because they can't get what they want, to then have it potentially expire.
Yes.
That is a lot of time, energy, and effort.
And what's the one thing you forgot to? What is it? And money.
Oh, money, right? Costs money to list property.
Costs money. Listen, guys, it costs us money to list property. That's why usually listing agents will take a little bit more on that percentage. Because if the property doesn't sell, am I going to the seller and saying, you owe me $1,000?
So agents that are considering where they should connect in order to learn, in order to expand their career opportunities, in order to really take their business to another level.
Yes.
What are some of the factors that agents should consider in deciding what brokerage they're with or what leadership they're with in order to really flourish in their real estate career and business?
The brokerage that I went to when I got out, I was acting and doing like print work in the mid 2000s and late 2000s. I ran into an agent on an overnight shoot in a courthouse in Queens, New York. Jeff, what's going on, brother? I know you know. We start talking, and it was like 3 a.m. because the courthouse is closed at 3 a.m. It's not closed during the day. That's why we had to do it at that time. And he finds out I'm in his market, and he says, how do you not have your real estate license? You're an actor. And I was like, I don't know. So I ended up getting it. I went to his brokerage because I knew him.
Right.
Instead of, let me figure out what brokerage offers training, agents and brokers that are doing high volume. They are skilled and can offer me something maybe more than just the production. Because with production, if you're with a brokerage that just does production, you're as good as your next deal. That's the only compensation you're going to get. At the end of the year, let's say you did 30 deals or 50 deals at the end of the year and December 31st comes. You have to look in the mirror and be like, I got to do that again next year. There's no other ancillary income coming in out of all of those deals you've done. You have one source of income. So one thing I learned long ago, Aaron, love you, brother. 1 is none and 2 is 1. And I use that and say, let's say you have a job interview and it's at 8 a.m. Your alarm clock, power goes out. And the alarm clock the power goes out in the alarm clock. And now you don't get up for your interview because power went out. The alarm didn't go off.
Yeah.
But you only had one way to get up. But if you had 2 ways, maybe you put an alarm on your phone, the power went out, but that still goes off. So you still, if you only have one lead source, one way to make money, that's none. Because if that dries up, now you have none. But if you have 2 or more, now when one dries, you still have the others to go.
I love sales and negotiations and real estate. It's like my passions in life. I'm very like black and white. I love real estate. I love sales. And that's pretty much it. That's like my whole thing. Negotiations, it's when you can find a middle ground where both parties feel like they won And the only way to get a seller to feel like they've won is that you've given them what they need per the situation, right?